and welcome to another episode of Schiffbauer Rocks. I'm here with a good friend and professional colleague, Noah Kain.
What's up, Paul?
Hey, I appreciate you coming up to York and hanging out with me.
Yeah, man.
It's not too often when you meet somebody via Twitter and you actually hang out with them. They're usually all over the place.
Yeah.
I say, how did we meet? Was it just like a mutual follow? You DM me, I DM you?
Yeah, I think, yeah. You were, like, shit posting a ton. And I started following you, I think. And then I go to follow you, and it just says York, PA. And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Small world.
Yeah. And I was like, because I'm down in Baltimore. So I shot you a message, and we just started chatting from there.
Yeah, I feel like most people who like are in our similar workspace on Twitter are like in Columbia or like Miami or something, not little old York, Pennsylvania.
There are a few. Yeah.
So, kind of more than anything, tell a little bit about what you do, like from a marketing standpoint, because marketing is so vast, where you really hone in on one really key area.
Yeah, so I run an SEO agency, which stands for Search Engine Optimization, for those who are not familiar. And while that sounds kind of confusing, like the simplest way to kind of explain that is if you have a website and you sell certain products or services, I help you show up on Google for the correct keywords, right? And they're not paid, right? We're not doing ads. It's organic, right? So it's the stuff that shows up below the ads.
It's kind of like you make the magic happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, pretty much. There's certain levers you got to pull. It's kind of funny. People get a little kind of freaked out by SEO. They don't quite understand it. But
I mean, I sell it to an extent. I really don't understand it. I'm kidding. Terrible joke.
But I was actually thinking about this on the way up here, driving the way up here. It's like, people understand when they're buying Google ads or Facebook ads from somebody or whatever. They're hired an agency for that. They understand what that is, right? They're like, oh, okay, I get someone to make me some creative, write copy. They pay for certain keywords, whatever. Like SEO is very similar to that. There's just different levers you're pulling, right? And in general, that's creating content, that's optimizing different aspects of your website on the back end, and also building what are called backlinks, which is like another website linking to you. And so those are just the different levers compared to a different channel.
I remember before I went full on in the agency world, it was kind of funny saying this out loud, but I had my startup, and we were actually talking to this on like big box agency that like really specialized in like the home furnishing sector where I was from. And a gentleman said, just because it was like SEO, which kind of new to me, just me grasping at the time several years back, it's like SEO is essentially like you're watering a plant organically. Yeah. Where it's just like it's going to take a while to grow like a plant would. Yeah. Where PPC or pay-per-click advertising, it's kind of like we're taking roids.
Pretty much.
We're giving you a test immediately.
You're getting a shot right in the...
And you're going to look fucking ripped and get what you want. But to an extent, it can be unsustainable long term if that's all really your core strategy is from an acquisition standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the biggest, I think SEO and PPC can work together in many ways because they both deal with keywords, right? But the biggest difference really is that if you're consistent with SEO, you're going to get exponential gains. The steroid thing is actually a great analogy because if you go to the gym consistently, you're going to get jacked.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or you can take the shortcut and get jacked with
really
steroids,
quickly.
But you need to keep taking the steroids, right? So to scale PPC, if you want to get more traffic, you have to spend more money.
Correct.
Right? You have to increase the ad spend. Whereas SEO, you just stay with it, and it will take a little time, a few months, 6 months or so to get some real momentum. But once you get that skyrocketing effect, you're still spending the same amount of money, but then you're getting exponential traffic growth from there. Yeah.
Now, when a potential client comes to you, do they feel like they need SEO like right off the bat, or they just come in like, hey, can you potentially solve my problem? Here's the problem.
So the best clients are ones that understand that they want to invest in SEO, right? They have a commitment to it. I do talk to plenty of businesses where they're interested in it, right? Like I've shot them a message or whatever, and they want to chat. But you really do have to have a commitment to it. You can't just be wishy-washy about
Start and stop kind of thing.
You definitely don't want to do that.
No, I mean, if we do anything, I mean, we work primarily with local clients. We'll do like a local tune-up.
Right.
Like if they're not properly indexed sites, we make sure we hit all those checkpoints. But we tell people too, it's just like if anything we do with like a light website update, it's bare minimum compared to what you do.
Right.
It's apples and oranges completely.
Yeah, and a lot comes down to the industry you're in, the niche you're in, because
Correct.
like you have to look around. Like if you see your competitors are heavily invested in SEO, and this can kind of apply to any channel really, but if you're going on, if like every search term you put in related to what you sell or what you do, and you keep seeing the same 2 or 3 competitors, like they're spending money to be there, whether that's paid ads or SEO, right, or organic. So if you take your foot off the gas after putting 6 months into SEO, a year into SEO, like your competitors are probably still spending money on it. So while you might be able to hang for a little bit, you're eventually going to fall off again. It's just reality.
How the hell you get into this?
Great question.
I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I think it's just kind of funny how you got here.
Yeah. So how far back we want to go?
I mean, we majored in college. Start there.
All right, we'll go way back then. All right, so I went to Drexel University for film studies.
Okay.
This is like 2005, 2007. Then I have a bit of a mental breakdown. Got to take a break from school.
I've had a quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say when.
Yeah. Took a break. Then I was like, my mom's a college professor as well. So I was like, took a year off. And then I figured I should just finish up my bachelor's, right? So I finished up, got a interdisciplinary degree, bullshit degree.
Yeah, you just got it.
Yeah, creative writing and films. Like, didn't really mean anything. And that was right around, the 2008, 2009 market crash, right? Like, that's when I was getting out of school shortly after that.
Which is kind of crazy. It's like ground zero for like a new college grad at that point.
Yeah, that was tough times. And, I'm sure there was actually, like, it would have been good for me to get into what I wound up getting into then, but I just didn't have any, like, I was not on money Twitter yet.
You didn't have necessarily, like...
I didn't have a roadmap,
Exactly.
So I did wind up doing some, like, random online writing and stuff, but, just odd jobs here and there. I did some canvassing, like, for a nonprofit for, like, 2 years.
I was about to say, was it like a roofing or solar company?
No, it was
what are those?
Environmental, like, stuff.
Okay, that's some serious
like
canvassing then.
Like, stuff, like, getting money and signatures for, like, sending politicians and all that.
Gotcha. Fascinating.
Yeah. So I did that for 2 years, and they were actually going to make me the canvas director of the office in Baltimore.
Could you imagine if you took that, how different your life would be right now?
It's so different, dude. And they would work you hard, man. Like, when I was assistant canvas director, it was easy 10-hour days. Occasionally, you'd have a 12-hour day, right? Like, and not getting paid.
But it's like every fucking day.
You're on
like
Saturday
5-6 days a week.
Yeah, it's a lot. Sometimes Saturdays. So, let me really let up.
Yeah, go for it.
So I did that, and then I had this moment. So I tore my ACL, right? The second time, actually, different leg. I've done both legs. But I tore my ACL and actually had like 3 or 4 months in the office, right? At this nonprofit. And it was a regular 9 to 5, and I was just like, whoa. Like, this is so much better than what I've been doing, going out into the field, like, right? So that was a little bit of a wake-up call. And they had offered me, to be canvas director. So like when my knee was good enough to start walking around and going door to door again, I did like a week or two, and I told them yes to taking the position. Yeah. And then like I went to visit my brother in Colorado, and I was like, this is not where I want my life to be going,
It's kind of funny when you like take yourself out of your environment. Like you went to see your brother.
Yeah. Like
your perception just changes. Like, why the fuck am I doing this back home?
Yeah.
Like something's got to change.
Yeah, it was so dumb. And like, I was like, how old was I? I was like 25, 26 at the time. And I just realized I had to switch something up, right? And so I didn't have a game plan, did not have much money saved. And I gave them my notice. Kind of stupidly, like, I helped them transition the person to replace me back on, so I stayed for like another month or two.
It's funny how these like companies do that. Where it's almost like trickery at the end of the day.
I had no obligation to do that, but I did.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And so, and I was living like, life was very affordable back then. I had, no kids yet, no wife, had a girlfriend.
Don't have kids. Kidding. You have a very sweet family.
We'll get into that, yeah. So, I just took a risk on like, all right, I need the space in my life to figure out something else, right? So I just got a job at a coffee shop, and just started doing odd stuff. I was involved in like the music and art scene in Baltimore, so I was just doing odd stuff there. And then
I could see you hanging around like Micah and like.
Yeah, I was living in warehouses and shit. Like,
I can in a former life see you like down there.
That was my crowd.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, my rent. Me and my girlfriend were living together in like an artist warehouse.
Stop.
Splitting rent, and I think rent total for us was like $360 a month, something like that.
I believe it though. They're like co-op spaces.
So yeah, it was not financially it was pretty easy to take that jump, right? Like,
yeah, we're just gonna do it.
I can go make enough money to cover myself, right? And so I did that, and then that summer, so my mom she teaches graphic design, right? And she's a bit of a workaholic. She's always taking on extra work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one of the like organizations she was a part of at the school she teaches at needed a new website, and she took on the project. And she was just using like a WordPress template, and she's a designer. So she made it sure it looked good, right? But not really any heavy coding or anything like that.
It's just it looks pretty.
Right. It just looks good and better than their like 1999,
Yeah,
nonsense they had up, right?
it's a facelift, but there's some stuff under the hood that's clunky.
Right. And this is like 2013, just for like reference point. Right? And they paid her $5,000 to do that. And I need a little like HTML and stuff, so like,
which is a lot back then for like something like that.
Yeah. And so she paid me a little money to help out with the project, and I was just like, my mind was blown. I was like, wait, they're gonna pay, like, people will pay this much money for a website. So then I got it in me, I'm gonna learn web design and like learn some coding.
Okay.
So I spent the next like year just teaching myself how to do that on my own, just going online and learning it. About 6 months into that, so now we're like January 2014. I start just taking on freelance clients and building like a handful of websites, getting a portfolio together. And I was slowly like increasing my income each month. Nothing to boast about at all. Like,
no,
yeah.
I remember my first few months. It's just like you're like, yeah, and it's like, oh my god, this is nothing.
Yeah.
But,
so, and because I wasn't still making that much money, and I'd never like, now a handful of years outside of college, right? I'd never made like even like a basic, be a basic like
income
salary,
yeah. So this is like you're
and I'm in my
high in the hall.
I'm in my mid-20s now, right? So I got in my head like, all right, I have this portfolio now. Instead of trying to build it, like building a business was not even like on my mind. It was just like, okay, I have enough proof to go get a job now.
Okay,
right?
like at an agency.
At an agency, right?
Which is fine.
So that was a good fit. That was my next step, right? And I'm glad I did that because there's a lot of stuff I didn't know, right?
I think I remember when I was even freelancing, I did essentially contract work for other agencies.
Yeah. As
I was building like my own.
Right.
I think anyone who wants to get into the marketing space, whatever it be, pay-per-click, strategy, SEO, you got to get the reps in. Got to go to the gym. All agencies are not created equal. Same with clients. I fully stand by that. But like, I think it's really good to get the experience, good, bad, and ugly. Yep. Working within a traditional agency structure.
Totally. Yeah, and I actually wrote like I think it's still up on Gumroad, but this like little PDF called "Get Paid to Learn," with that same concept. Like, you can actually get a job in an agency.
So you're gonna sell a course right now? You
no,
tell me that. Don't
go look. It's a horrible little PDF.
Marty will put like a little pop up, like a little.
Please don't. Yeah. But yeah, I put that together to kind of show that similar idea, right? Of like, you can literally, like, if you're just starting out, like, you can go get a job making like 40, 50 grand a year without really much experience, and literally you're getting paid to learn how to do this stuff. Like, you can do that.
Yeah, no, that's the crazy thing.
Right.
Because it's a lot of these business owners who, not necessarily just agency owners, like, they don't have it all figured out either.
They do not. Yeah.
Like, once you're like in an office environment or like around enough like real business folks, you're like, how the fuck is this thing running and making money?
Yeah.
It's kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. Totally. No, that was very shocking.
You're in the agency world now. Boom.
Yeah. So I get in the agency world. My great bosses, the best place I'd worked at yet. And one of those bosses was like a fantastic developer. So I had like this like crash course in development and like web stuff, and like really got very good and proficient at, to a certain level, but it was definitely found out was not my passion to like become awesome as a developer. But as that's going on, we're like a year and a half or so into me working there, we just start getting, I was their first employee too, by the way. So it was
really
3 founders and I'm employee number 1. Okay.
Right.
So it's like very startup environment, right?
So you were, I call him my Steven. Stevens are essentially our employee number one, like with our team.
Pretty much.
Our small team we got
exactly,
here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So which was cool because like I got to just get a lot of more like in a place that's already more established, like you're gonna get more confined to like a specific role, whereas I got exposed to everything, right?
For better or worse.
Yeah.
Because they needed that.
Right.
It sounded like
exactly.
at the time.
Yeah, and we just started getting clients who like we had a lot of web clients, design clients, stuff like that, and we just started getting a lot of just requests for other marketing stuff, right? So email marketing, PPC, and SEO. And so I just like dug my head in and started, just learning all that stuff. And it turned out I had a knack for it, right? Like it wasn't like like PPC to me was like I could at least get a baseline understanding of and like grasp of, because like I just understand numbers and stuff. And like growing up as a kid, like I remember my dad would come home with like every morning with like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and I was just in the sports section like reading box scores and looking at stats and stuff, right? So the concept of like you're getting this many impressions and this many clicks and this many conversions like was very easy for me to grasp.
And you like liked it.
And I liked it, right?
Yeah.
So like I caught on real quick to a lot of that stuff. And so we just started offering a lot of other services, but SEO like hooked me in the most because I kind of liked the idea that you could create content on the site and get a site to rank without really, you're spending money on the SEO engagement, but you're not spending money on ads. I kind of like that concept, right?
Well, long term is more sustainable.
Yeah, totally.
On a surface level.
Yep. So I was there and eventually became the director of marketing strategy there. And company grew from the 4 of us to, I think, at one point we were at 13 or 14 people.
I think it's around that size now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually I hit I was there for 6.5 years. Which my advice to everyone, so I learned a lot while I was there, had a lot of responsibility, which I was grateful for. But my advice to other people who might test out working at an agency for a bit is you need to have a perception of how much you can learn at the place you're at. And then once you've hit that wall, and you can't learn from anyone else there, go somewhere else.
Really? Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah. And I would say not to be mean about it, but there definitely is a capacity, you're going to, if you're the smartest person doing what you do at the place you're at, it's time to go somewhere new.
It's kind of like the old verbiage too. It's like the teacher and the student. When the student surpasses the teacher,
right?
What do you do next?
Right. So, and that's not to be again, not to be mean about it. It's just
it's just reality.
You have to be self-aware of all right, can I learn anything else here? And if the answer is no, it's time to find an opportunity where you can learn some more. I think that's the quickest way, the speed of learning. And that was your motivator, where I want to continue to grow. Yeah, exactly.
Even if you seemed like you had a great position, you're employee number one.
Exactly, right. Now I was making pretty good money.
The money wasn't necessarily a motivating factor. It's I need to grow.
Yeah, I needed to grow. I also wanted to make more money too. But let's be real about it.
Realizing how much they're coming in, it's
yeah, I can do the math on it, right? But I also too, another thing that kept me there a little longer, right, is I did have 2 kids, right? I had twins. I got number 3 on the way here in a month.
I know. I knew it was coming up. Yeah. We got lunch at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You said it was coming.
Yeah. So
we're catching up.
March 13th is the due date on that. So yeah, having 2 kids to take care of and a wife and all that, that definitely kept me at the agency longer. But pandemic came around, and I was I've been itching to.
It's time to jump.
Itching to switch things up, and I kind of realized all right, I do have this safety of a job here, but maybe it's not as safe as I think, right? This thing happened.
I think we're still in a period of uncertainty right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of agencies across the board are going to get really impacted in the next 6 to 9 months.
Totally. Yeah. It's definitely tough waters right now.
It's a really weird artificial state the economy is in.
Yeah.
People I talk to who've weathered a couple of recessions, they're we have never even seen anything like this.
Yeah.
It seems like a.
Hey, but jobs numbers are up, right?
Yeah, it's so bizarre, but it's a whole rabbit hole we can go down.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that. But yeah, so I started doing some coaching and stuff before I left, and then 2021 came around and gave him a 3 weeks notice.
It's very kind of you.
Yep, extra week. And yeah, just hit the ground running, and it was literally just I had a good network of people and it was very easy for me to like let's hit the ground running and started getting clients. And
got this little book that you can lean on.
Exactly. It was like pretty smooth for me. Literally for like a year and a half, I did not lose a single client.
Yeah, that's great yield.
Yeah, and so I, tend to be very good. And I was the same with that agency. I was very good at retaining clients.
Yeah, especially if you're the director of marketing strategy.
Yeah, so I had like that. That is like if you're running the agency, like that is probably one of the most important things you need to focus on. Right?
That's what I agree with.
Yeah.
It's the 80-20 principle.
Yeah.
How do you keep what you have and provide more value to those that you have? That way, they stay around longer. 1 and 2, you're making more money.
Right.
If you're upselling them within reason.
Yeah, and it's just like it's super hard to scale if you can't keep people. It's just
and that's the churn and burn model. But that's I don't know the place that you came from.
Yeah.
Well, most agencies are like that. Like I sat down with a gentleman who's a colleague. Does like more like sales, like consulting, coaching at this point. Grew this like power washing business and like sold it. Really cool backstory. He's like talking about one of like my indirect competitors in the market. He's like, boy, she loses them. I'm like, and I smiled because like I just know of her. I don't fuck with her at all. That's one person I don't care for.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, that's the model, Lou. It's just like you sign and you lose them. It's like the old Mad Men verbiage. It's just like the day you sign a client's the day you lose your client. Yeah. But vice versa, even if you are proactive, it's just you gotta. At least for me, whatever I'm checking in with the clients, or now our project coordinator Steven's checking in with the clients with like recaps after they get their monthly reporting. We always try to instill something on next steps. What's next? What's getting creative for this season ready for them? Or what else can we do to provide value for you? And presenting that picture so they don't get, absent-minded or look elsewhere.
Totally. Yep.
It's all relationships.
Yeah, client management. That's one thing. I'm looking like a chump over here not getting this thing lit.
It's all right. We'll edit it out, maybe.
We'll deal with that later. You can leave it in. I don't care.
Shout out to Casta Cigars.
That's actually one thing. Like we talked about retention, right, and like communicating. Like that's one thing. Like I realized that even while I'm still good at it, I did get a little lazy.
Oh, I'm not perfect either. I got stretched thin when we go through a growth spurt last year.
Because here's a lesson from the past like 6 months, I'd say for me, is that it's easy to have good client communication when things are going great, right? And when there has been a little bit of a downturn in the economy,
people are concerned,
right? And like a few clients I work with that are still with me, but like their specific niches got hit a little hard, right? Just people not spending money in certain areas anymore, like for taking a break from that I guess, And it's just like you have to reassure them that their money's being spent well and like the longer vision's there. And like the more you can communicate, like one thing I found too, this will also make your agency like less stressful, right? Is if like I've realized like sometimes you'll sit there and like, what are they thinking? Like what's my client thinking? Like what is the narrative they have in their head? And most of the time, if you're confused about that, it's because you're under communicating. Yeah,
you're under communicating or under delivering,
right.
In my opinion.
Yeah, one of those two, right? So, or both, right?
Yeah, combo.
Like, and I realized I made a change recently where I was like, I'm not communicating enough, and my anxiety has gone down like so much more because I know there's no questions because I'm communicating better, right?
And it's nothing to when I say this like putting down my own clients or clients out there. You almost have to over communicate to the point of almost annoyance.
Yeah.
Like mom reminding you, hey, this is what's going on. This is the goal that you shared with us, and this is how we're hitting it. Hey, mid-month, this is what we're doing again. At the end of the month, hey, we're still doing this. Even if it's like, okay, we'll get the picture, they don't reply, it's just doing it. So it's there.
Totally. Yeah. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend focus on that. But
I don't think people do it enough.
Totally not. But the other big area I like, like I said, I had kept everyone for 18 months and then just like multiple clients, unforeseen circumstances, new CEO coming in, shaking things up, new.
It's so relevant,
right?
though.
Like
it's just
someone who was an employee that left and opened up the opportunity for me, then came back, like stuff like that happening, right?
The nepotism, the political angle, it happens.
Right, like just stuff happening, like but like all in the same like 6-week period.
Oh, when things like that happen, you
Yeah.
absolutely get shitted on.
Right.
It does not come. It's not like a little turd. It's just like you're getting like bombarded with it.
Yeah. So it was like damn, like am I fucking up here? Like what's going on? But I would say that a big lesson from that for me was right. So we talked about client retention. Obviously, you want to be able to deliver results, right? That's obviously another arm. But the third arm is obviously your marketing and like lead generation and your sales, right? And for me, that was an area where I was not investing enough time and energy into for myself.
I'm getting back into that consistently myself right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm very good at that. It's just I've done it inconsistently as my business has scaled personally.
Right. And it's easy to let go of that arm of your business when you're keeping your clients and you're just growing. Like I went from 0 to like, I think I hit like 36, almost 40K a month in 18 months.
Yeah, it's insane.
Right.
It changes your life, but changes the dynamics too because you're responsible.
We're talking revenue here, everybody, so calm down.
Yeah.
It's not profit. But still, like the first 18 months, like cool, this is easy, right? Like we're just gonna keep going up, right? And so to get hit, take some big hits over like a short period of time after that, and then you don't have, your pipeline's dry. Right, like that's an area. Like if you're running the agency, I would recommend like don't let that happen.
No, we have a big deal, verbally like on the 2-yard line right now that could sign like next week, which I could make Steven like full time, like our project coordinator.
Right.
I was literally prospecting today, just as if like that's not going to come through.
Yeah, you can't act like
it's just no, because I've been shot myself in the foot one too many times doing that.
Yeah, and so like. Yeah, it's like, and what I found is like when you jumpstart that engine to get your pipeline filled, it can take several weeks, couple months, like to really get it popping, right?
Yeah, especially with what you do.
Yeah, totally.
I'm selling test,
right?
Where you're selling more like here's your organic remedies.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to that old analogy
with SEO, like that's not a thing where. Like people either are ready to buy and ready to roll, or it's like, I thought about that. Let's chat about it, right? And they're not always necessarily like, yeah, I'm here to pull the trigger. So people just got to know, like people got to know that you're the guy to go to when they decide that they need it, pretty much.
Why are you the guy to go to?
I got a pretty good track record with my client results and case studies.
Are you focused more on like higher end like e-commerce, correct?
Yeah, but if you like what I would call like higher ticket e-com, where they're selling stuff that's like, multiple thousands of dollars, like on a Shopify site. Some products even like 10,000 up.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's worth putting that money in then.
Yeah, which is wild because like there are people who are literally buying stuff that costs like $10,000 off a Shopify site.
And the crazy thing too is, regardless of what the economy might be, Marty's signaling for last hole. We'll keep it going for a couple more minutes. All right, but as wild as the state of affairs might be, people are still spending money.
Oh, totally, yeah. There are people spending money.
Without going into particulars, what's like the most fun or like wow like product you've helped like promote without like you don't have to name names?
Yeah. So my favorite client I've had, and actually came with me from my previous agency. They sell like inflatable catamaran boats.
I've always wanted one of those. Yeah. That's why I said like the dear Lord, I'm not to get religious, but like to not make me like richer or have this amount of spendable income sooner, because I would buy dumb shit like that with it in my early 20s.
Right. But it's a super cool niche to be in. He's a great client. And I just like fun. Like I like helping people sell products that are fun. And it's also cool just helping people, regardless if it's e-com or not. I have a few like local SEO clients too, where you're helping someone like build their dream and like
that to me it's the most gratifying thing,
and help them grow their business. Like that's
seeing that transform.
Exactly.
Where you get the back picture where they're at, or it might be a business for like more me like service guys. They might be doing it 30, 40 years.
Yeah. And
you come in and plant this idea and see it take shape.
Yep. And
their business doubles in 2 years.
Right.
Like completely in terms of workforce, the whole nine. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's the money's great.
Yeah.
That happens, but even better, you see the impact firsthand.
Yep. Totally.
we talk local, and we've been talking about, us knowing each other locally.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to touch on what makes a good agency partner. We talk about retention and like communicating. Like, what really is like you think the core tenets on why someone should partner with an agency?
Yeah. So, like, you should really view your agency as a partner, like you said, right? And I would say the big thing to look out for is if an agency is not that big and they offer everything under the sun, they're probably not specialists in all those things. Highly unlikely, right?
I can think of a few right now, and I'm like,
right. So that's one thing that like every agency does specialize in something, right?
Yeah, we specialize in growth, PPC.
Even if they offer
in that vein,
right? Even if they offer multiple things, like there's one or two things that they're great at, right? And I think people get misled a bit where they get upsold on a ton of other services, and it's not the best. That place. Well, they might not do like a horrible job. In some cases, they definitely do, because I've seen people come to me after dealing with some of these places, but
it's like therapy.
Yeah, you are a bit of a therapist at times. But yeah, you really want to, like, when you go to an agency, like, just ask to see, like, all right, what have you done for other people? Like, what results have you gotten? Have you worked with a business like mine before? That's always a great question.
That's a great question.
Ask, right?
We asked something very similar to that.
Right. So, just look out for that stuff. A lot of people try to promise like the world to you, and that's a red flag, pretty much.
Any other red flags? It's like dating.
I mean, I would, you could ask them how long their employees stay around, how long their clients stay around, stuff like that too.
How do you go about vetting your clients? To me, that's, I think, almost just as important aspect while you're going into it, especially as you're scaling. Because if you get a bad client and your bandwidth's like very stretched thin with them, you're like, fuck, why did I even sign them?
Yeah. Totally. So, I mean, one thing I always ask in my sales calls is like, what other SEO agency partners have you worked with before? Mm-hmm. Right? Or like, and I also ask what other marketing channels they're working on too, right?
That's what we hit.
Right.
How are you acquiring sales?
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to know, like, have you had a bad experience? Like, and if you tell me in the sales call, like, yeah, we've had like a new agency every year for the past like 5 years or something, I'm like,
red flag.
All right, cool. I don't want to.
No, I've had some paid very well, but he was calling me on weekends.
Yeah. That's not the type of client you want. Because usually the problem with that is not the agencies, it's the client.
It's the owner.
Yeah.
It's a self-reflection thing at that point. Mm-hmm. I'm about to say we hit a lot of ground.
We did.
Is there anything you really want to touch on? Any special shout-outs before we kind of wrap up here today?
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
I just picture you down at like now Micah, like checking out like an indie film.
That
with like a beanie or something.
That era is so beyond me. Though. I had long ass hair back then too.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, so different from me. But no,
you ever played a band or something? I'm just like, I'm trying to unravel it.
Played a band? Oh yeah. I got music.
Did your girlfriend or now your like wife paint?
No, well, not my wife right now.
Okay, you dated.
She's very crafty though.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. It's important. She's a very sweet lady.
Yeah,
I only talked to her like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
at Bushel Bash. But
yeah. So she's crafty, but she's not a Micah crowd type.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's probably for the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hey, anything else you want to touch on, or?
No, I think we covered a lot. If you need SEO help, hit me up on Twitter. Noah's 4 cents. Workwithnoah.com is my website.
Mm-hmm. Noah's very legitimate when it comes to SEO. You probably seen the horror stories. I've seen horror stories. I've told people they sold you SEO. I'm like, show me the proposal. I'm like, oh my god, you just got robbed.
Right.
But you actually dive deep for your niche.
Yeah. No, I mean, like
we do the work.
A thorough process. That is a good point too. A lot of SEO agencies don't even do the work, but
yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
I've seen too many horror stories like that where like they're charging you like $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Even if it is like it's like too late.
The other thing too I'm gonna add too is don't underspend on SEO.
Okay.
If someone's selling you $500 a month SEO, like it cannot be done. It's gonna.
Especially on the high ticket e-commerce end. I 100% agree with you on that front.
Yeah. You need to spend a few grand a month at minimum to get results, and that's just reality.
Well, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming up. to good old York
Yeah, man.
at
Thanks for
Casta
having me.
Cigars tonight. Or not tonight, today. But that being said, see you next time.
Thanks.